Good afternoon, everybody. We see we are keeping you from our lunch session. So we hope that we will be able to drive a very meaningful yet impactful conversation and keep it very brief. I'm Aishwarya. I have the privilege of providing a little bit of context today before we begin the interaction with our movers and shakers of the EV and the energy storage ecosystem. Kerala, of course, has been taking huge strides in electrifying the transportation sector. Renewable energy integration at source with mobility is absolutely crucial as we head towards a fully sustainable economy, a fully sustainable state. In this regard, Kerala has been taking innumerable measures. One of them happens to be the Kerala electric vehicle policy, which provides EV buyers incentives and encourages the expansion of a comprehensive charging infrastructure. Some of these points are important as we drive the discussion forward on EVs and energy storage today. The second is that the Kerala State Electricity Board, as we all know, has established public EV charging stations across key urban centers, highways, etc. to accelerate the adoption of electric vehicles. The KSRTC, Kerala State Road Transport Corporation, on its part, has rolled out electric buses as part of its effort to reduce carbon emissions in public transport. The Cochin International Airport solar plant is exploring battery storage technologies to enable 24/7 clean energy usage, reinforcing its commitment to sustainability. Kerala overall is also evaluating pumped hydro storage projects as a strategic measure to complement its growing renewable energy capacity and enhance grid stability. In this context, it is my honor to quickly welcome on stage and all the panelists who are here. We start with you, Dr. Reji Mathai, the director of ARAI. Sir, you've been driving along with a lot of the other central government agencies and beyond to the electric mobility transition of this country. Sir, according to you, how can advancements in energy storage technologies accelerate the overall EV adoption in the state, in the state of Kerala, as well as the rest of the country? And how can energy storage become a pivotal part of the global transition to sustainable energy, sir? Broad thoughts from you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a real pleasure to be part of this journey of transition, especially the way things are evolving for many in the auto sector. They say that there is no breathing space available. What has happened is we have brought in the EV with certain policy interventions. The products started coming in, and suddenly the comparisons started with what has been existing for at least and has been proven or evolved over 4 decades. And the inadequacies were thrown open like these are not at par, it will not sustain, this is not great. So as a regulatory framework where we support the government in a big way, India had a lot of special requirements and we started addressing that one by one. And these regulatory requirements, we all know, should be in place in a robust manner so that first, all the OEMs or whoever are the players get the same level playing ground. Second, the customer has the confidence in the products they are buying. So what are the challenges currently being faced? Now there is a mix of vehicles. Some are less than 250 watts, very low speed ones, which does not require registration. So they are at a very low end of the cost. But then when they reach the market, somehow the speed starts increasing because it cannot go beyond 25 kilometers per hour. And they are flouting the norms. So there has been a lot of problems on that side because they are not tested or certified for high-speed application. So government has been seriously thinking about what next is to be done. Second is the battery is the most costly part in the vehicle, means it takes around 30 to 40% of the cost. So there are multiple challenges related to that. One is how much is its life or what is its useful life after 3 to 4 years. If you see any of the EV or any such things, the resale value, how to assess it, is the biggest question that is being now coming. And currently, there are no regulations that define the useful life of a battery after certain years. Or even when they are certified, they are just certified for certain safety aspects, certain energy densities, and their capacities. So what happens to it after 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and this is putting a lot of restraint to people or for certain products which thrives on the resale segment. Third aspects that we are being struggling with is the fast charging, I mean the time taken to refuel. We have been customized for 7 to 8 minutes, 5 minutes waiting time at a petrol pump. Although we have got the, what I can say is cost to the customer or total cost to the customer coming low, very low for this application, but nobody wants to wait 30 minutes for a charging to be taking place. So alternative charging, faster charging, chemistries that provide that are the things that are being looked at. So we have been collectively working with the industry, especially for the heavy duty segment. Can we look at the heavy duty, means overhead charging and all that, where a vehicle just stands and you can put a pantograph sort of a thing and get it charged. Battery swapping is another area that is being seriously looked at, because initially without a fuel, how can a vehicle be certified? So a battery had to be put in the vehicle. So now the option of certifying multiple batteries for a vehicle so that it can do the swapping of a particular form factor or particular connections is also opened up. So these challenges are continually on. What more is to be done to accelerate is, I think the BE director, DDG is very much over here. We are talking about the CAFE norms, wherein we know that once these norms start tightening, the mix of the EVs have to be increased. Then only people can meet the CO2 emission norms. Second is the carbon trading system has to be brought in for this sector also. People who are net positive in the CO2 emissions should be at a leverage position and they should be able to monetize it. So these are some of the thoughts that will take forward EV ecosystem or the ecosystem that helps net zero to accelerate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. That is a great segue for me to pose this question to Mr. Krishnan. Sir, thank you so much for joining us on the panel. Dr. Mathai spoke about charging infrastructure lacunae, charging-oriented lacunae, or for that matter, the performance of vehicles as an important lacunae for us to consider and overcome to accelerate the EV journey of the country. My question to you is, what are the most critical challenges you as an OEM face in scaling up electric commercial vehicles, and how can collaborations among the private sector, government, research institutions and others help overcome these hurdles, sir?
Thank you for triggering the thought. It's a very interesting question. But see, even today, our Switch Mobility, Switch is the brand of our Ashok Leyland vehicles. We are holding the highest market share, 37%. But most of them is being sold by pay by kilometer through another agency called Home. So Home is also our subsidiary. We purchase the vehicle from Switch and we are giving for pay by kilometer. So that is because the cost of the vehicle is 3 to 4 times higher than diesel vehicle. If you go to fuel cell electric vehicle, it is 8 times higher. So today also lack of demand only because of high cost. Yesterday I was talking to the CTO of Switch. He is saying all state buses, whatever the contracts, tenders are there, all are pending because of cost is very high. And pay by kilometer is being compared with diesel. How to promote this? This is one of the challenge. And number two is, Mr. Mathai already told, resale value. That is one of the important one for our commercial vehicle. It is not being evaluated. Means we are not able to do resale value. Third is charging infrastructure. Of course, diversified standard. I won't say it's a big difficulty, but it's a great difficulty because today we are running 12 buses in Gujarat. All the 12 buses, we are providing charging infrastructure. Earlier, we thought that we will swap the battery. And it was a big battery. For example, I'll tell you, if the bus is 19 ton, you require 4 ton battery for going for a 150 kilometers. So that is the weight. So 4 ton, even I will divide 1 ton, 4 batteries. Swapping the battery is very difficult. I used to use forklift and so data, so limited charging infrastructure as of now, and no standardization of charging infrastructure. At least in mobile, we got C-type now, standard. But yet to be, I think Mr. Mathai will take it up for standardization. And a high charging time even today is there. We are not like Tesla putting the fast charging for 10 minutes and how to do thermal management. Even today, our buses is having chiller. We are having not only the compressor, and we are doing cooling management effectively. And it is very difficult by control system. And next is, there are some doubts about battery vehicle even today because non-availability of indigenous parts. What about spare parts? Because everything is imported from China or some country. So that is there. So what we feel is government also should push a long-term policy by go on subsidizing to some extent, encouraging OEM to come forward. Suddenly if you cut FAME 3, then OEMs also will stand what to do. Now, that is also there. However, we started our research in core competency in 3 areas. One is battery technology. Number 2 is motor. We got a collaboration. Sometimes, if the knowledge is to be transferred, you require a collaboration. We got a collaboration with Nidec Motor. We started reverse engineering for Nidec Motor in India, indigenizing. Battery technology also we started, and software-defined vehicle. These 3 core competencies will accelerate. Though the challenges are there, electric mobility, that is our thought. And we also participate with the research institutions and like IIT Madras, even IASC, they all participate in our electric vehicle program. And we show a lot of interest that both for energy conservation, CO2 reduction. Also, see, you take, for example, if you are in a Delhi today, you might be living in the 18th floor of a building. Lift, you are using electricity. Bike, you are using petrol. Car, you are using CNG. And gas, you are using LPG. What energy is not using? So, all energy to be efficient. So, one way we will participate in electric. And we are also a big commercial vehicle manufacturer of trucks. So, like example, VRL Logistics. They also are talking to us that making battery trucks. They say there are certain logistics which is only 100 kilometers. So that will be converted into electric trucks. And we also feel that terminal trucks in the port, that first time we got certificate, am I right? Mathai sir? 55 ton trucks. So we will be playing inside the port. There is maybe 6 kilometers to 12 kilometers per day, and charging time is there. So these are the areas we are identifying, and at least my CTO is very much in 100% electric vehicles. He is convinced. Even the cost of operation is less. So we are into it.
Thank you so much, sir. So we know from many of the two of the panelists at least so far, that the future of mobility is electric. And there are other, of course, discussions and perhaps need to think about coexistence of multiple sustainable mobility options, right, as India decarbonizes itself. Now that brings us to the larger question of how else are we powering our electric mobility journey, and what is the role of renewable energy here? On that note, I have the privilege of introducing Mr. Saif to answer this question. Welcoming Mr. Saif to answer this question, please. Sir, India has ambitious renewable energy goals. How do you think the development of large-scale energy storage projects can integrate with the country's broader push for sustainable energy and contribute to energy security? Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. And thank you to the esteemed panelists who have already given the inputs. In fact, sir, we are doing some work with one of the ports in electrifying, and it's a Government of India scheme called Harit Sagar, in which they have advised all vehicular transportation within the port area has to be electrified. So, best wishes for you. Yes. And coming back to your question, we all know that India currently is considered a leader when you talk about renewable energy. And this has happened despite starting much later than countries in Europe or even US or China. But we have gathered a lot of pace. In fact, in the COP 26 at Glasgow, the Honorable Prime Minister had extended the target also. Now we have to achieve 500 gigawatt and by 2030. So how do we achieve this? And there comes the role of storage. Now, storage at one hand is very, very essential when you talk about the capacity increase of renewable. We work with states across the country, and there are certain states who currently seem to have saturated when it comes to the existing grid capacity to manage that renewable, whatever has to be added. Going forward with that means to utilize the existing renewable by storing electricity and then using it for longer hours. So obviously one major use that we are looking at is that with storage, you will have longer hours of clean energy. We have seen a lot of bids coming from SECI and some states also where they are asking for round-the-clock clean power. And storage in any form, whether it is battery or it is pumped hydro, it is paramount to such things. And this is what we as a country are supposed to plan for the future, that we should have 24/7 clean power. The second thing, again, when you talk about storage and when you talk about RTC, one major thing will happen is the dependence on fossil fuel will actually come down. Right now, if you see the cycle, sometime back, there was a lot of announcement that states are not deciding to go for thermal power. Now we are seeing a cycle where states have again initiated thermal bids. I am myself working with one of the South Indian states to help them procure 2000 megawatt of thermal power, coal power. And the reason what they're saying is that while they have a very strong proportion of renewable, but they are not the base load provider electricity. Base load means that portion of your demand which is running 24/7. For that, they are looking at coal as something, or maybe nuclear if it comes. Having storage again will help that base load supply through clean power and hence reduce the fossil fuel dependence. Thereby, it will help us make the country more energy independent. The energy security will be much higher. Another benefit of storage is managing peak loads. So what happens is that when you have spikes in demand at any point of time, for example, if there is a sudden rain, the electricity the demand goes down, or if there is a sudden surge on any type of requirement, demand goes up. Storage is an intermittent source which can either be used to absorb any additional power which is available during that peak time where the demand is less, or supply instances of power to the grid when the peak suddenly increases. And that is a very important thing. If you look in some of the developed countries, storage is also being used as ancillaries. And that ancillary charges are for millisecond of usage also because of the fluctuation. Fourth, again, is with lot of storage, especially through electric mobilities, because EVs are also capable of supplying back to the grid if we construct the entire ecosystem that way, or rooftop solar with storage. We are entering into an era where we are going to have a very decentralized grid. This would definitely help us becoming more smarter because you can manage the grid more efficiently because of the decentralized nature of supply options, rather than having one large power plant which cannot be shut on and off to address small things. So I think these are the things which make storage quite handy in the future.
Thank you so much for those insights. I think now have a better understanding of how renewable energy, energy storage, and electric mobility all speak to each other. We are going to double click on an important renewable energy subject, which is hydropower, right? And for that, I have the privilege of inviting Mr. Sumantraa to share his views on the following. So, what role do you see for India in the global hydropower sector, and how can we improve our hydropower infrastructure to meet our renewable energy targets? If you could also tie it in with electric mobility, nothing like it. Thank
Perfect. Thanks, Aishwarya. I feel honored to be part of this esteemed panel. So let me start my opening remarks by reading up something on the newspaper just today. I came to know that there was a major power outage in the northern part of Kerala in Jan this year. And this had happened because the Karnataka Transmission Corporation Limited was supposed to provide 40 megawatt, but they only did 15 megawatt on that particular day. And KSEB didn't have a choice, so they had to do load shedding, which started on Jan 7th until Jan 16th. So now this brings back to the question that obviously if you look at countries outside of India, you will hardly find power outages even for 1 minute or 5 minutes. And maybe you might have just 10 instances in the entire year. For example, countries like Netherlands. So they treat this, the citizens themselves treat access to a reliable, sustainable, continuous power over the year for many years as a right. You cannot let citizens not have power. So I think this is something that's being taken for granted here in India. And obviously, if we had pump storage projects, both either centralized or decentralized, something that the Kerala government is working on, and Idiki, for instance. I mean, a single project could supply 6 to 12 hours of power supply. And to put this in perspective, let's say you're planning on constructing a 800 megawatt pump storage project. This can supply power to 750,000 homes. That's close to 1 million homes with long duration energy storage. So I think it cannot be understated the role of long duration energy storage, such as pump storage, in the energy transition. And I must say that this is non-negotiable with any stakeholder.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sumantraa. Sir, I come back to you, Dr. Mathai. We are curious to know how vehicle-to-grid technology, and that is something that Mr. Saif briefly brought up in his response. So how could vehicle-to-grid technology enable electric vehicles to function as mobile storage units? Is it already happening? Is it going to help cities, coastal cities like Kochi? What are your broad thoughts on that, sir?
The communication protocols that requires this energy transfer need to be standardized, and the grid management is a very critical thing. We are very easy to say that things can be done in such and such fashion when we know even solarization of homes were done. The reverse metering was not so easily taken up by many states. They didn't want to get into that area because there were challenges, anything that feeds to the grid. Now, when we say vehicle to X means or anything, it starts giving back the power. There needs to be isolation mechanisms put into place properly. And as I mentioned, it is can be done, and there are studies being carried out, and there is still time for that. We have seen challenges simply even to feed the car, means the charging protocols itself has been a challenge in many ways. As Krishnan was mentioning, we are trying to standardize it. And then we are yet to standardize on certain part of the heavy commercial segment. At least for the car segment, we could standardize it through a CCS2 protocol. But for the heavy segment, still people are providing their own chargers. So it is not that any charger you fit in and your car can get charged. This is because there is a lot of protection in the cars given. So similarly is the flowing back. So there is work happening, but we have to wait for it to take mature and take shape in the future. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Krishnan, some thoughts from you on certain challenges that the industry would face in scaling battery storage solutions for electric vehicles. You spoke about the roadmap you yourself have as a commercial vehicle manufacturer, but any thoughts on energy storage, sir?
Yes, we initially thought that cell production is a risky business. So still we are evaluating. For example, battery assembly we will do, but cell production still we are learning. That's why I said we have opened a Center of Excellence for Battery Technology Learning. And the rapid change of technology is also a problem. Lithium ion we are talking. Suddenly LFP will come. Suddenly some other solid oxide battery will come. So we have to stabilize on that. Next is economics of scale. How much in today's volume will it be sustainable for me to make return on investment? So such an investment is being calculated. Third is developing economy like India, where the financial capital is very less. Whole operation of vehicle we have to support. For example, today I purchase a vehicle, electric vehicle. I ask him what is the warranty for the battery. He said 8 years. With 8 years confidence, we are purchasing the vehicle. For our normal vehicle, earlier we were giving 3 lakh kilometers, now we are giving 6 lakh kilometers. But battery vehicle means he should give me 10 years warranty. So that is the demand in that. So there also scaling of battery storage. Finally, international partnerships. It's a challenge only because you know that from where battery is coming today to India. But we have been taking international partnerships. And fourth one is we should tap the emotion to bring more battery. For example, which building is not having a genset today? You should say anyhow, every second car or third vehicle only electric today. We should tell them don't buy genset. This third car, you can use it for backup power, have some small solar in your house. In fact, the battery storage or the battery charging cost, if directly from solar to battery and if you use, the unit cost is less. If you are taking from any other thing, it is crossing 10 rupees or 15 rupees, even 21 rupees. If it is solar, maybe less than 10 rupees. So these are the challenges we are facing in scaling battery. Till now, nobody challenged that I will make cell in India. I think so. And as he said, as the director told, we have to make a lot of standards and understand and make it.
Thank you so much for also, I think, hinting at certain solutions for these challenges. One thing we would like to zoom in on is the international partnerships piece, and then we move to the concluding questions of the day. I come back to Mr. Sumantraa. Sir, how can we make these international partnerships successful as all countries race to not only decarbonize themselves, but everybody also wishes to be a global leader? So your thoughts on how to make this happen?
I can definitely speak for international partnerships on hydropower and pump storage, because at the end of the day, at least in Kerala, if you zoom in, there's good amount of solar and hydropower being generated, and solar during the day hours, which unfortunately the consumption is not in those hours. So obviously either you need to have storage. So one of the possible storage is definitely pump storage. So you can pump up the water when there's good enough solar during the day at low cost, pump it, and whenever there's huge consumption in the night, and for all the EVs which gets charged during the night hours, you can actually reliably and cost effectively charge. For international partnerships, if I were to look at countries where we can definitely partner, Kerala is already doing a lot of partnership with Netherlands on water management. I think I would also look at Norway, Canada, and Switzerland. Specifically Norway and Swiss, for the obvious reasons that at least today, all the Norwegian cars that are being sold are fully electric vehicles. You cannot even anymore have the luxury of buying petrol vehicles because electric vehicles are cheaper than the conventional petrol engines and diesel engines. And their entire grid, both Norway and Swiss, with 100%, close to 100% EV penetration, is fully powered, managed by pump storage and hydropower as a country. Obviously, these countries are not big as India, but at least these could be model countries for states like Kerala, whose ambition is to put more EVs on the road and see how we can collaborate with these countries and learn only the best practices, not everything, and adapt it locally for our requirements, challenges, and roll out.
So much. Sir, Mr. Saif, we come to you. You have the difficult honor, I would say, of wrapping up today's session. Sir, we have both industry and government in the room. So what would your one message be to each of them to accelerate the electric mobility journey of the country and also integrate renewable energy in this process?
Actually, that is a difficult one. What you say, out of syllabus question. But if you ask what I have seen over the last few years, that there is a very heightened collaboration between the industry and the government across various components of the value chain, whether you talk about renewable as independent thing or even storage. Even if you look at things like manufacturing, you have the PLI schemes which are coming up. From there, if you look at the adaptation or making it mandatory for certain sectors to have renewable obligations, and now even having storage being introduced as an obligatory procurement, I think things are moving in the correct direction. If you ask me, one critical thing is the continuous dialogue between the industry and the government is very, very critical. And we work a lot with IEMA, Indian Electrical and Electronic Manufacturing Association. And it's a very old association. And I think that template of how they manage or engage with government is very, very good. Once a year, they do a CEO's roundtable with the minister and the secretaries from relevant department. And then they also continuously do policy advocacy papers on certain subjects where we come in from the knowledge part, the members of the association bring their issues, and together, they make continuous representations. And I believe the partnership can happen and move towards in a very win-win situation. So with that, I think over to you for the conclusion.
Thank you so much, sir. I hope the audience also found this to be a very insightful conversation. I thank all the panelists for taking the time out today. Thank you, Elets, as well as the ANERT team and Government of Kerala for organizing this fantastic conference. With that, we'll call it a wrap. Thank you so much, sirs.